What went on in the world of cryptocurrency this past week? Well, here to talk with me about that is Peter Gantner from TruBadger. Peter, welcome.
Hey, Robert, thank you for having me here on finStream. Great to be here.
It's great to have you. And as viewers know, each week we're looking at what happened in the world of crypto. And this week in particular, you have a noteworthy story to tell.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been in the space, building technology, doing some stuff, but ultimately decided to launch our own cryptocurrency. So a token that has some specific utility to it. In this space, there's a lot of people who are anonymous when they're launching these tokens. And we wanted to launch a token that had a fully doxed team based here in the United States, that people could have somebody who would be, I guess, responsible, or, that they could look at and say, yeah, they're going to be here tomorrow. So that's why we decided to launch it. There's been some successes with projects like SafeMoon and some of the other ones in the deflationary reflection space. And that's what TruBadger is. We just added utility onto it. So TruBadger is a deflationary reflection utility token that we're putting in the marketplace.
All right, so maybe you may have to put that in plain English for me, if you don't mind.
Sure will. So deflationary tokens start with a larger balance, and then each transaction, there's a fee that's placed on it when the transaction takes place, and a portion of that fee goes to burn the tokens, reducing the supply in the marketplace. So of course, we all know with traditional currencies, they just print more and more and more, where with a deflationary crypto, the supply begins to drop. Of course, hopefully giving that the benefit of it going up. The reflection side of that is in the crypto space, there's something called staking, where you take your tokens, you send them to somebody, and you stake them with them. With a reflection token, you don't need to send them anywhere. You hold them in your own wallet, and on every transaction, a portion of that fee goes back to everybody who holds the tokens. So if you're just simply holding your wallet, you're accumulating more of that base token. So in our case, TruBadger, you're getting more of those in your wallet. So by doing what helps the crypto, which is holding on to it, keeping it out of the marketplace, instead of going in and buying and selling it and trading it, you get more tokens along that way. And of course, on the utility side is what the token's use is. And of course, the deflation and the reflection are two of the utilities of the token. It's how it functions. But we also have other utilities. As we launch new projects that will provide services in the crypto space. So we're working on some trading products. We're working on a swap that's going to be very unique. And when we're talking about launching, we actually worked on launching this about a week earlier, but we had a bot attack that tried to artificially raise the value of our token. And so what we've been working on is our site that we'll be launching will prevent bot attacks in the early launch days of tokens. So we found a problem, and now we're working on the solution, and we'll be launching that. And so that'll be one of the projects that TruBadger, so the utility of TruBadger is when that project creates value, a portion of that will be provided to the TruBadger token holders.
Right. So obviously you discovered an unmet need in the marketplace. There are hundreds of tokens out there. Everyone's familiar with Bitcoin and ETH and Dogecoin, et cetera. Talk more about the unmet need and how you sort of view your token relative to the other ones that perhaps may be better known at the moment.
Yeah, so I guess part of it is our team that we have there. As I said, a lot of these teams are you don't know who they are. Now, of course, Ethereum and the bigger ones, but a lot of the tokens that are coming out, who knows? Could be a great person in another country that's behind it, or it could be somebody with nefarious purposes, right? So that is one of the key features, is that you do know our entire team that's behind this token and moving it forward. The other side is there's a lot of meme coins coming out right now, like Doge. And of course, I know they're going to work on building stronger utility, maybe put other uses on top of it, maybe smart contracts, things they're talking about with Doge. But ultimately, it was made as a joke, right? It was supposed to be something that was funny that has become serious. So we understand that memes have a very valuable purpose in society, right? There's whole studies that have been done on how memes affect people and bring joy to their life, and right, that there's actually a positive thing to memes. But so we want it to go into the meme category, but give purpose behind it. And the way you develop purpose in business is to create value, right? We were talking about Amazon earlier. They bring value to our house by making it where we don't have to go to the store. We get better pricing. It gets delivered right away. That's the value proposition. So our goal behind TruBadger is to put real value behind the token, not just the fact that today, somebody tweeted about it and the price goes up 37%, right? Or 22%. That's all great for the people that have it. But ultimately, we want to build something long-term. I was talking to our community, or the TruBadger community today, and I was talking about ultimately what we'd like to do is build value so they can go achieve their dreams, right? Put their grandchildren through college, go on the vacations they want, maybe retire earlier. And the only way to do that is to make it to where we create so much value that people are willing to give us some type of currency in all different formats and fashions for services we're providing, not just on the fact that people are excited about the token.
Right. So tell us a little bit about the journey from the moment you conceived this thought of creating TruBadger to the point that you're now launching it.
Yeah. So of course, getting programmers to write a smart contract and jumping into the space is pretty easy, actually, right? But that doesn't get you success. Really, the success is built by the team you put behind it, the technology that you're going to build behind it, and then of course the marketing to get it out there. And I actually know a lot of them because I buy and I love the crypto space, right? Not just our token, but I have lots of other tokens that I've purchased, and they're great teams, but they don't have the resources and they don't have the marketing experience to get it out there. And the biggest asset, I think, to the crypto space right now, the blockchain is coming, right? So immutability, being able to control my own data, my own information, not having a central authority where somebody can be hacked and do the harm. All the benefits of the blockchain is coming. But right now, a good portion of it is on speculation, right? People looking at a token saying, hey, it's like 1998 with Amazon. The potential wasn't where it is today, but it was, wow, this could be big. So let me get involved. So that's where the crypto space is right now. And so our goal is to utilize that to get the resources, then to build the real value behind it by providing that software where it's not just about the crypto, it's about the value that that software does for you. It does something in your life. And we've got quite a few projects working on an NFT project that we'll be launching behind TruBadger. So the way it'll launch, we'll launch a new project. It'll be powered by TruBadger, and a portion of the value that that project is creating then goes back to the TruBadger Foundation. We won't be a regular corporation. We're setting up a foundation. So the token holders essentially will be the benefit of what's created by for anything that we do in the token.
Right. So there's been a lot of talk about the amount of energy that's required to create a token. Is that true with TruBadger or?
No, so we're a proof of stake token, not a proof of work. So where the energy consumption comes in, of course, is in proof of work. So that is Bitcoin right now. It's Ethereum as a proof of work right now, moving towards a proof of stake for that purpose. So I'm more of a fan of proof of stake than proof of work. One of the issues with proof of work is miners. If it takes a lot of capital and a lot of equipment to do something, you have a much smaller group of people that are involved with it. The beauty of the crypto area is community, right? A whole bunch of people getting together and everybody benefiting from the up or the, not benefiting from the down, of course, but it's that community sense that I love about it. And that is much more robust in a proof of stake model versus a proof of work model.
Right. So given the vast number of tokens that are out there, do you see some sort of shakeout occurring over time?
Absolutely. Yeah. So in 2018, there was a boom, and then there was the downturn, right? The bear market came in. That shook off a lot of tokens. I think at that time, there's about 2,300, 2,400 in the marketplace. A lot of those went away. Some stayed. It'll happen again. So there'll be the consolidation from that. But then at some point right now with cross-chain stuff, eventually you'll be able to use any crypto in any situation, and you won't realize which block you're on and what block you're using, because that's what's happening right now. The industry is moving towards cross chains, where I can own Ethereum and get Bitcoin with it instantly, or purchase something from somebody who accepts Bitcoin using Ethereum or whatever it may be. So that's the direction it's heading to. My prediction would be that in 5 or 10 years, you won't know what chain you're using. You'll simply have the crypto, whatever you have, and you'll go do it. You'll receive crypto for payment for doing something, or maybe your favorite business will reward you with crypto for being a great customer. Maybe there'll be different ways but you'll be able to just go take that and spend that very easily, or trade it, right? Swap it for goods and services in a pretty efficient way. So the market will definitely change from where it is today in a big way.
Right. So when you talk about the future in that regard, I think about currencies having some stability behind them, not necessarily going up 10 or 20 or 30% in one day and down the next. Do you sort of anticipate that at some point it will act more like a
that's
currency?
The value proposition, right? So we can go back to 98, when the .com stocks were going up 20, 30, 40%, right? I mean, IPOs, the stock would go up 600% in a day, right? The first day it came out. It doesn't do that as much anymore, right? Because there's the value proposition. Right now, it's the potential of what the blockchain can do and what that crypto is going to do in the future. In the future, it will come down to traditional business things. How much revenue are they bringing in? What value do they provide? And that's what will begin to give value to. Now, you'll always have the Bitcoins, which is a store of value. That is its utility. It's the first one. It's got that, that going for it, and it's got that store of value. So that doesn't necessarily have to find another utility or another place. But definitely tokens like us will have to say, here's why we're worth a $5 billion market cap, not just because we're cute. We got a cute badger and he's tough, right? And not that just that I'm here running the show, right? It's here's why we have the value that we have. And that, of course, will stop these giant spikes, the ups and downs from being. And part of that is getting a lot more people involved. So the crypto market's pretty good size, but really it's several million people in the world, right, are driving it. Those are the enthusiasts that buy and sell and trade. Once it becomes hundreds of millions and billions of people involved, that'll bring some stability as well, because it's not consolidated. I was reading somewhere that they said about $90 million you can move the Bitcoin price with about $90 million. Well, there's quite a few people who have that much Bitcoin because they got involved in 2011, 12, 15. They paid a few dollars for it. They've been accumulating it. That'll change, though, over time, where it'll take way more Bitcoin to move the market, and there'll be way more people holding it. So I think that'll bring a lot of stability to the market. So value, stability, and then, of course, getting back to regular business principles that set the value of the tokens.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about what I view as the cross currents in the market. We have, on the one hand, companies like MassMutual and New York Life investing in crypto. And then you also have some very big name people like Jamie Dimon and others sort of taking a contrary point of view. And so there's no consensus perhaps yet among institutions around the future.
Yeah, I think if you look at it from just crypto, you can have a negative perspective of it. It's like, wait a minute, you sit down at a computer, you write some code, and all of a sudden there's this new thing. If you look at it from the blockchain perspective of the value that the blockchain will do, and by the way, some of those people don't want decentralization, right? They make their money and their base is on centralization. They like centralization, right? Because it benefits them. Decentralization will harm their current business model. They'll have to redesign, and they're smart people. They'll figure out, most of them will figure out some way to benefit from it. But they'll have to redesign and refigure it out. And I think that's part of it. Sometimes we don't want to look at the facts or the truth of things, because the facts and the truth don't go in our direction, right? And so I think that's a lot of it. I think the fact that people like PayPal are getting fully behind this, Visa now is going to have it, MasterCard. This has gone past the point of, is it going to happen or isn't it going to happen? I guess the real answer, the real question is how is it going to happen? How fast is it going to happen? And how do we make it to where it doesn't harm a lot of people in the process, and that we can do it in the best way possible? And I hope that's from the industry itself, the people in blockchain that get together and say, let's regulate ourselves. Let's figure out what are win-win situations and start focusing more on, Susie down the street who's going to get some crypto, and maybe it's her paycheck or maybe it's from some other means, and that it doesn't today, it's worth $50. She goes to the store tomorrow to purchase something with it, and she only has $21. So now she can't feed her family. So hopefully we'll be able to come in and come up with creative ways to stabilize and get that where there'll always be fluctuation, right? There's fluctuation in every currency, but we can get that down to where it's a smaller amount to where we can start to believe in it as a currency. One of the beauties of the blockchain that I see where the real value comes in is microtransactions. So when I was a kid growing up, I thought I was in school and they said there's 7 billion people on the planet. So I've always been entrepreneurial. I think I was born that way. And that's all I've ever wanted to do is run businesses and start them and do that type of stuff. And I thought 7 billion people. And I was pretty good at math. I went at a penny. That's $70 million, right? I just got to figure out how to get a penny from every person. And people walk by pennies, right? They got them in their couches. They got them sitting in their car. You got the cup in the middle with all the pennies sitting in it, right? Everybody's got 40 or 50 of them. I just need one from each person and I'm good. Well, it wasn't possible. But with the technology and blockchain, I could possibly someday get a penny from, I can provide a service, create something that provides value. And because of microtransactions, I can collect 1 penny from each person on the planet, right, by providing that service, and I can make that dream come true. And, so that's part of it. I mean, with the blockchain, with future technology, 1 penny can get split between 10 people. You can get a tenth of a penny. I can get a tenth of a penny. We get Susie a tenth of a penny. So I think that's the real promise of the blockchain and cryptocurrency, is allowing us to get into those microtransactions.
Great. Let me ask you about another cross current that I think is worth mentioning, given what's occurred lately with pipeline companies and hospitals and whatnot. And it's the notion of ransomware and the payment being crypto. And any thoughts about that and what can be done?
I think at some point, again, regulation will come in. It'll get less likely that there'll be cryptos that are saying, hey, we want to be forward and we want to be able to put some type of trackability in there where you can't do that. And then there'll be the ones that'll be on the opposite side of that. And then people will choose which ones they want to use and what they choose to do in order to make it happen. I saw somewhere that they got quite a bit of that back, right? Yep. They were able to track down who got it and got a portion of it back. And of course, the organization that was in the business of it, I was shocked to find out that there was somebody you could hire, right? You didn't have to be the hacker yourself. You could literally go and for hire, say, hack this for me. And they kept 15%. And I guess the other person got 85. Amazing. I guess they decided to shut down. So I guess it's not as easy. I think the dark side of it, well, we all know, right? The internet, the dark side is what started the internet. And today it's this beautiful thing that we get benefit from. And there's still some dark side there in the internet, right? We all know that as well. I think it's the same thing with crypto. The dark side is what got it started and going, and the anti-current government currency people, right? That far fringe. But now it's going to go just like the internet into the part where at some point, 90-something% of the transactions or more will be legal transactions that people are not trying to hide something. And then there'll be the smaller percentage that'll be on that negative side. How long that'll take, I don't know. I hope it's sooner than later, but that's, I think, the direction that it'll move in.
All right. So before I move on to current events, I want you to tell us the story about how you came up with the name TruBadger.
Well, we were looking for names and we came up with a name we thought was great, but it was already taken. And then we were going through and I saw an article that was out there that talks about a CEO of a company being a badger. And I started reading it. It's like badgers are problem solvers. If they need to get somewhere, they'll build little mud balls and they'll stack these little mud balls up to make like a ladder, right? To get them up there. They have no fear. I mean, a badger will take on an elephant, right? Somebody that,
they're ferocious. Yeah.
Yeah. They can fight a cobra, get bit by a cobra, which would kill a human, and they take a nap and they wake up and they're fine, right? So they're pretty tough, right? And so we were building a currency or a crypto, a token that isn't afraid of anybody, right? We're not necessarily in competition, but we believe we can stand on the playing field with the biggest ones out there, the Polkadots, the Ethereums, we believe that we can do that. And so that's why we picked the Badger, and of course, True, because of the transparency that we're bringing in the industry and the governance we're putting in place. So having a fully doxed team. So it's that trueness and that toughness of a Badger and that problem solving is the reason why we came up with the name TruBadger.
All right. So anything that we haven't touched upon about TruBadger before we move on to current events?
Visit our site, guys. Check it out. Community. Our goal is to have you participate as a token holder in the governance of what we're doing, the direction that we're going in. And again, we are one of the places where we want to bring this into the light, right? Create real value behind it. Definitely check it out. It's TruBadger.io is the site. The white paper's there. The team is there. So yeah, please check it out. And if you decide you want to become part of the TruBadger family community, love to have you and look forward to creating value in your life through our token.
Great. So just on current events, a couple things. This past week, a firm announced that plan participants in 401k plans will be able to access crypto in their retirement accounts. That's fairly big news. It's the first of its kind. Any thoughts about whether this is the first of many or an isolated incident?
I think that the ones that don't eventually, again, if you ignore something too long, just like with the internet, people that ignored it ended up falling behind. I think they're going to start falling behind. I think it's their really only choice is to figure out how to get involved. Of course, they need to protect their clients. They need to do it in a safe fashion. They need to make sure the ones they're getting behind are good. But I think it's time. It's like having a business and you didn't have a website and you kind of put it off for a little while. And then eventually you thought, oh, if I don't get one, I'm going to be left behind. We're at that place right now with crypto where they're going to have. So I believe this is the first of many that are going to get on board and start moving in that direction.
All right. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Elon Musk, right? And whatever he had to say this past week.
Yeah. You know, he's done an amazing job building and bringing electric cars to the marketplace. He's done an amazing job in space, but I don't know if we should maybe keep him having a Twitter account, right? So, you know, everybody loved him when he was tweeting good. I guess if you're going to love him when he's tweeting good, you might have to love him when he's tweeting bad. I think that he's definitely brought a lot of value to society, and you got to commend him for that. But I think he really needs to sit down with the experts in it and get an understanding. And look, when he has a clear path of where he wants to go with things, then great, share it with the world and get on that path and move forward. I think the problem is it seems like he's flip-flopping a lot. I don't know, maybe he's getting ready to run for office and get into politics because he seems to be flip-flopping. One day he loves it, one day not. One day he does, one day he doesn't. So Elon, please do us a favor. Get on the same page, one page, head in the same direction, just like you did with electric cars, just like you did with PayPal, just like you've done with SpaceX. And I think he'll bring a lot of value to this industry.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about China and their crackdown on crypto.
You know, the amazing thing about with China is they're actually in the forefront of creating their own digital currency. And I think being a communist country, they want to stop it because they see the potential in it and they are into control, right? That's what communism is. Communism is control. And so they're letting it go a little bit because it helps get people used to it, right? It makes it more comfortable. And then when they come up with theirs, they'll try to stop it. I'll be honest, it's too late. If people wanted to stop this, if the governments of the world wanted to stop crypto, they should have been in about 2012, 2013, somewhere in there. Right now, any government that does anything against this would be harming way too many of their own citizens. In to put it on their plates. If you kill crypto, you kill those companies' value and you harm all the shareholders, the employees, all the way across the board. So I think at this point now, government needs to figure out how they're going to do it in a sensible way, but it's here to stay and it's not going anywhere. So they'll have to part out. I'm not in politics. I'm not in church. All I can do is give my opinion on that one. And again, I think it's too late at this point, right? It's like, we'll stick with it's just too late.
All right. So all my friends in the climate change world will mention, especially in China, right? In China, the miners will move from one part of the country to the other, depending on where electricity is cheapest, hydro, coal, et cetera, et cetera. Any thoughts about, you mentioned the energy use for TruBadger, but any thoughts about?
Proof of stake, there's other proofs coming along, proof of consensus, all that stuff. That's where we need to go to with it. So it doesn't have that enormous energy usage. I believe that, one of the things that Elon's bringing to the table, it's rumored that he's going to connect Bitcoin mining to the solar industry, right? So it's all clean energy. I mean, if we could mine Bitcoin with all clean energy, then it's probably a good thing, right? And I know that one of the beauties of the crypto space is the people, like the people that are running Ethereum, Polkadot, these guys care about the planet. They care about other people. There are some fantastic people that are running these organizations. They're not horrible people that just care about money. They actually do care about society. That's why they want to move towards decentralization. That's why they want to bring value here. So I believe that the industry itself, now that there's an issue that's been brought up about the power usage, they'll solve this problem, because remember, these are the brightest people on the planet. So I was watching something that said, always follow the money when you're looking at stuff. And then someone came along and said that it's the money and the talent you need to follow, right? So if you looked at the internet, it wasn't just the money that went there, it was the talent that went there. If I look at the blockchain industry right now in cryptocurrency, the brightest minds in the world are moving into it. And so they'll solve the electricity issue. So for the people that are out there worried about the environment, don't worry about it. It's getting solved. They're working on it. There's all kinds of organizations popping up and doing it. As a matter of fact, the blockchain will help distribute renewable energy better than what's able to be done now. So that's going to be an area where it's going to be able to bring improvement to the eco-friendly movement that's taking place all over the world.
So what happened in the world of crypto that caught your attention this week?
The last couple of weeks has been pretty crazy, right? It was going up and then it came back down, and then it looked like it was going to start recovering yesterday, and then it went back down. So I think right now it's kind of in a holding pattern. People don't know which way to go, and we're going to have a couple weeks more of this sideways action. And then, more than likely news will determine if a lot of good news comes out. As you were saying, one of the organizations that came out and said they're getting into it, once that stabilizes, then we'll be back into the bull market. At least that's my hope, right? Notably is, I guess, as you said, the one organization that came on board, there was another, Token has announced a partnership with a company. I believe they're bringing like $150 to $175 billion into the crypto space. So I guess the biggest news is that there's a lot of traditional money that's moving into the space, which should help stabilize it and get us back onto the bull run that we were on for the first 4 or 5 months of this year.
All right. Well, Peter, I want to thank you for being our first guest on This Week in Crypto, and hopefully you'll be a regular. And
I hope you'll have me back. Yeah, I hope I didn't screw up too much, and you go, well, we don't want him back again, right?
No, you're going to become a regular. You passed the test, so
awesome.
Thanks so much.
Very good. Thank you for having me, Robert.